Not sure if everybody's seen this yet, but Todd Grantham is headed to Alabama to help out the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban and company as they get ready for the 2022 season. I wanted to talk about it just for a little bit because you've seen so many different anymore. Everyone in college football just kind of goes after they've been let go to whatever place. I mean, whatever place they have connections to or interest in. We've seen this a lot at Georgia. Will Muschamp came a year ago. Now Mike Bobo's around. Todd Grantham going to Alabama is not any different than anybody else. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that Todd didn't have a place to land in the NFL, but um, the the way this has worked lately is that coaches kind of want to keep their severances, it seems, and that seems like what's going on more than anything else. Of course, Todd, most known in Georgia for his 3 year, what is a 4 year stint as the defensive coordinator at Georgia, brought in a 3-4 defense, and got was one of the major reasons why Georgia got within yards of winning the national championship in 2012 when they lost to Alabama on the last play of the game. But as we know from uh, this past couple, I guess a month ago, 2 months ago almost. Georgia with the national championship win over Alabama. You can commemorate that with DAWGSTRUCTION. They're getting mailed out as we speak, so make sure you're ordering yours down below. DAWGSTRUCTION. We get a lot of nice compliments about it, and I'm glad that folks have finally got it in their hands. Make sure that you're getting it in your hands by ordering down below. Todd changed Georgia to the. I don't know what the legacy of Todd Grantham is. There's a lot of negativity around Todd Grantham, which I think he earned some of that. But when he came to Athens in 2010, that Georgia was holding on. Now he did not make good hires. I didn't think. I mean, that the staff he threw together was not a functional staff on the defensive side of the ball. And what we found to be true with Todd over time, you could start seeing that at Georgia at the beginning of this past decade, which is that the recruiting was really good for edge players, pass rushers, uh, Leonard Floyd of the world, you know, Jordan Jenkins, guys like that. But putting the whole package together, that just wasn't something that he was really great at. He took a bunch of younger players, Bakari Rambo, um, and company in that secondary, and got them Sean Williams, Bakari Rambo. They were already in the program, and he took them, added John Jenkins, Jordan, but well, both Jordans, and from that point forward, they really became a very good team. I mean, the 2011 team won 10 games in a row before dropping their final two. The 2012 team went 12-2. So you're talking about a stretch of time there where Georgia went 22-4, losing in the SEC championship game both times. So that was a great run. I mean, I remember the day that Todd left, him talking about what they had accomplished at Georgia. And by then he had pissed off the Georgia fan base so much because of how bad the 13 defense was. I mean, when you look back at the time that Todd Grantham was at Georgia, it was for the most part successful. But boy, 13, I mean, and you had some good young players on that 13 roster. But it just wasn't the same, and they didn't have the same players. That was the biggest thing. Well, the biggest issue was they were young on the side of the ball. But Georgia now is so much sturdier in every way. I mean, when you look around the defense now versus the defense then, even in 2012, they could not um, slow things down at times. I mean, think about the Tennessee game when and there was a lot of chaos at the time. In 2012, Dog Post reported before anyone else, 6 months before anybody else, that there were going to be suspensions on the defensive side of the ball. And that meant no Alec Ogletree for a while. That meant no Chase Vassar didn't play. He didn't necessarily matter. But you lost Ogletree. I think Rambo was out. You're missing some players, and it took them some time to get their act together. But at the end of the day, Mike Bobo's offense still had to outscore the other team because even with the collection of skill that the defensive side of the ball had, it wasn't always where it needed to be in terms of production. We don't see that now at Georgia. I mean, you're talking about, Kirby Smart has always been an exceptional defensive coordinator for a long time. This is not new news. I'm sure y'all are well aware of that. But he's also taken the parts that he's got and has put it on the field and made it work. And that's now with what will be his third defensive coordinator, assuming that works with Will Muschamp and Glenn Schumann. And I think it will. But the recruiting is really the difference maker from that Georgia teams in the turn of the decade this last time to the turn of the decade now. They really slowed Alabama down in that 12 game. And there were times when teams just struggled to score. Mississippi, Auburn. Now, these were not great teams. But South Carolina in 2012, 35-point explosion. The Tennessee game in 2012, it just wasn't where it needed to be. And you compare Kirby's time at Georgia as the defensive coordinator to, Jeremy Pruitt's not a good defensive coordinator. If he were, he would be good, but he was not good at Georgia. I would argue I want to take a longer look at it, but I would argue Todd in many ways was better than Pruitt because, well, first of all, there's a lot of different reasons, but at least there was some accountability to some degree with Todd Grantham. Jeremy Pruitt's time at Georgia, there were a lot of 30-point games given up, and that's something you don't see as much, if at all, anymore. I'm trying to think of how many times Georgia allowed 30 points this past year, and I think it was once. Is that right? The Alabama game in Atlanta, 33-18. Michigan only scored 11. Alabama with 41. Tech didn't score. Charleston Southern was 7. Tennessee was 17. And that was the most at that point that anyone had scored. The Gators was 7. Kentucky with 13. Auburn, I think, scored 13. No, 10. Yeah, Arkansas didn't score. Clemson kicked a field goal. UAB didn't score. Carolina with 13 points. It's different now. And I think Todd will help Alabama. But how much, I don't know. It's not different than how much, Mike would help Georgia's offense. Georgia's offense is pretty good right now, and they really expect it to be good coming in. But I did want to talk about Todd's time at Georgia. I thought it wasn't all bad by any stretch of the imagination. He was a very intense coach in a way that Kirby is not. Kirby is more, seemingly to me, how do you put it? More of a happy warrior. It seemed that Todd was mad at times, but I think folks at Georgia that I do not think that Todd was near what Georgia's got right now, but I think sometimes people overdo the criticism of past coaches, and you'd take Todd Grantham over Willie Martinez, right? You'd take him. Brian Van Gorder had some serious talent that was on that defensive side of the ball. Serious talent. Thomas Davis, David Pollock. They had guys, Odell. That 12 team had that to some degree, but I think that the 0-2 defense was even more loaded up with guys. But, I'm sure that y'all will correct me down in the comments, but make sure while you're doing it to pick up your order of DAWGSTRUCTION. I appreciate everybody that's ordering it. We're still getting a bunch of orders every single day, and we're getting them out to y'all as fast as we can. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.